Hi, this is Ray from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, the Spider-Woman podcast. You're listening to Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast. And I just got to say, I love ducks.
Hey everybody, welcome to Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast. I'm Noel and I'm here with my good friend named Russell. Say what's up, dude.
What's up, dude?
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I've been a little sad with the news of one of your neighboring states deciding to ban books in schools for some reason.
Yeah. Bunch of assholes.
Yeah, a bunch of assholes trying to ban Art Spiegelman's Mouse. It's got me on a kick of reading about banned comic books a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading them. And so, like, you know, the usual fare, obviously, is, you know, sex criminal gets banned from libraries a lot, even though there's a big thing on it that says, you know, like, for mature readers only. I don't know why anyone would not know that. That shouldn't necessarily be in the kids section. But the graphic novel sections, they don't parse them between adult and non-adults, you know. I was looking at a list of some of the books that have been banned in recent years. And like Batman, The Killing Joke has been banned for, I guess, obvious reasons because of rape.
Yeah.
Or implied rape.
Implied rape, yeah.
They never say it. That there's been like a J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man was banned because it was in an elementary school for some reason. But the one that shocked me the most that's got banned a lot, is Jeff Smith's Bone.
Really?
Because they show one of the little Bone guys like smoking a cigar and drinking beer. And like, that's not appropriate for elementary school children. And it's like, well, luckily we talk about a duck who does a lot of drinking and smoking. I don't know if that's
he sure does. So Howard would be a banned book. He would.
I'm sure he was. I mean, I didn't do any research into seeing if Howard did get a lot of flack back in the day, but it must have got some. But it would be real easy to, I could see, oh, cute, a talking duck like Donald or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, this little asshole smoking cigarettes or smoking cigars. I mean, and you know, going to the bar a lot whenever he's pissed off. So.
Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, our first issue kind of deals with Howard discovering those cartoon ducks.
That's true. So, you know, I've just been bummed out about banned books, and people have been sending a lot of copies of Mouse to that district, I guess, and the sales have jumped way, way, way up. It hasn't been in the top 10 maybe ever, and now it's in the top 10 books.
Yeah, so. I saw where two different editions are in like bestsellers on Amazon. So,
and a lot of bookstores have been saying that they've been selling out. But my advice to anybody, if you want to get a copy of Mouse, and you should read it. It's a great book. If you don't know, it's sort of not quite a memoir, I guess, because Spiegelman didn't live through World War II, but his parents did. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of a personal story of the Holocaust through his family. And he makes the Jews mice, and he makes the Nazis cats, which I think works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or so says my allergies.
I think my cat's definitely a Nazi. He's like all white. And he's just mean. So yeah, he's almost there. He likes violence.
Nazi cat.
Yeah.
But let's just get into these Howard the Duck issues. Well, let me do a little house cleaning, I guess, first, if you want to call it that. For those new to the podcast, we go over usually 2 issues or an arc. Today it's 2 issues, even though the second one is kind of actually part of an arc, but we'll leave that as a cliffhanger. We do that every episode, and we, give our comments on it and stuff, and then we'll be sharing some listener feedback. We got our friend Justin today emailed in some feedback, so we'll be playing that. And, we'll talk a little bit about the behind the scenes if there's any. If you guys would like to share some feedback, you can hit us up at howardpodcast@gmail.com. And, you can just send an email if you don't want your voice to be on the show or not. But we really, really love the voice messages. They're a lot more fun to listen to. howardpodcast@gmail.com. And now we actually have a Patreon where you can help support us to keep the lights on here, meaning the web hosting. And that's patreon.com/trappedinaworld. So we got no one else had used that one yet.
That's amazing.
So we got that. Well, without any further ado, let's get into Howard the Duck, Volume 1, Number 5. I want Moo-O-Ni! ! Let's see. The cover art was by Gene Colan, who also was the penciler. The release date was June 22nd, 76, and the cover date is September 76.
Noel, did I tell you that I finally figured out the 3-month gap thing?
No, tell me all about it.
So what you see on the cover of the comic, the date on the cover, that's the pull date. That's when they take it off the shelf.
Oh, and it goes into the back issues?
Back in the day before Diamond.
Or where they would... where they would pulp them, basically, send them back, or tear the cover off is what most newsstands or whatever would do, and then sell them at a reduced rate instead of sending them back.
Yep. So
fascinating. Yep. Oh, now that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So it actually did come out in June.
Yep.
And then they would keep it on the shelves until September. Wow. Okay. Well, the writer here was Steve Gerber and Mary Skrenas. I think she's a little uncredited sometimes, but she helped Gerber write a lot of especially the Beverly stuff. Like I said, the penciler was Gene Colan. The inker was Steve Loyola. Colorist Glynis Ween. Letterer Irv Watanabe, who is a very famous letterer. If you ever look into your credits, you'll see his name a lot. The tight-fisted editor was Archie Goodwin, and editor-in-chief was Stan Lee. And now, without further ado, prepare your ears for the beautiful tones of Russell Moran.
I don't know how beautiful it is, but here we go. With money tight, Howard and Beverly begin considering their employment options, with Beverly deciding to do more modeling for art classes after finding a shiny bicentennial quarter while ransacking their apartment for money. When Beverly suggests that they try to make it rich, Howard remarks he thought Bev was independently wealthy, then scoffs at the silly notion, deciding that he should find a real job. Sent out to buy supper, which with their current income amounts to buying Snickers bars. You could get 2 Snickers bars for 50 cents back then. Just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
They're like...
Or you could buy 2 and pocket 1 if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Candy bars are easy.
Yeah, I don't know if full-size Snickers existed back then. Like, you know how they have like the giant size, but yeah,
giant size Snicker thing.
Yeah. Howard goes to the store. However, while browsing the comic books, he is outraged at the way ducks are portrayed in the book.
Not smoking.
Angrily smashing the comic on the ground, Howard is forced to buy the comic book by the store manager, and is only able to buy 1 candy bar. Still upset over how ducks are portrayed, Howard tries to air his outrage on a radio call-in show and is hung up on when the DJ thinks he's a nut. The next day, Howard tries to portray ducks properly by getting a job on Gonzo the Clown Kitty Cartoon Corner, a popular children's television program. Casted as Dopey Duck, Howard is pied in the face and, not willing to suffer such an indignity, punches out Gonzo on live television and is fired, even though the children in the audience cheered him on. While wandering the streets, Howard is recognized from being on television by the clown-hating owner of EZ Credit Appliance Company, who offers him a job as a collections agent. When he has to call a woman about back payments she owes, Howard wonders why the woman can't make her payments. Calling and then going to the woman's house, Howard finds that she is an impoverished woman whose husband bought the TV and left her with the bills when she has 4 children to raise. She tells Howard about how she didn't realize that the 40-cent a day payments would equate to paying $900 for a TV set that would normally cost $400, and that it wouldn't last the amount of time that it took to pay it off. Heartbroken with the woman's story, Howard tells her that she can keep the television and that it's paid off, and he quit his job, finding that he doesn't have the heart for the work. While browsing in the papers for a job, Howard comes across a challenge made by a wrestler named Emil the Goat Clout.
Greatest of all time?
Yeah, and on the cover they call him a man mountain, Noel.
I know.
Offering any man who can beat him in the ring $10,000.
Man.
Yeah, man. Howard decides to take the challenge in spite of Beverly's warning about how unbeatable the goat appears to be. Riding to the arena the next day, here we go. Howard is once more accosted by the Kidney Lady, who says that she saw what Howard did to the clown on TV and once more accuses him of being a kidney thief and spouts off about the conspiracy she believes in. Arriving at the arena, some of the patrons bother Beverly, and she threatens to kick their butt. Meanwhile, Howard prepares to face the GOAT, while other opponents are easily defeated by the apparently unbeatable wrestler. When Howard steps into the ring, he uses his smarts and quack foo, and he's able to knock the GOAT out cold. However, when his manager realizes that Howard is a duck, he manages to weasel a way out of paying Howard the $10,000 by saying that the challenge went out to any man who went into the ring. However, after some negotiation, the manager for the GOAT sets up Howard and Beverly with enough money to pay off their bills, and the two decide to finally leave Cleveland for New York and begin hitchhiking their way. Notes: this issue has a letter from Stan Lee to Gerber saying, "Dear Steve, I hate you. Master of Quack Fu was one of the best written comics I've ever been jealous of."
And that's that for the arena of no return, as it says on the cover. I want Mooney. Oh, yes. What'd you think?
I loved it. So much happens in this one issue.
Yeah, it goes by quickly.
Yeah.
So much happens.
I love that we got like 3 or 4 different jobs for Howard in this one issue.
Yeah, that's kind of been Howard's thing. I think that was in more recent times, he's been a private investigator, and he's commented a lot. He's like, listen, even in his own dimension, he worked a lot of different jobs. You know, I think it even says that like in the opening paragraph of every comic. He's like educated himself on the streets, and he was like, screw school. I can do whatever I want.
So the first thing I noticed is, of course, when Howard gets the Quacky Duck comic, that the duck, looks like Daffy Duck, which is hilarious to me because Howard is, of course, more keen to Donald Duck. So I think it's hilarious that they're spoofing Daffy. I love that, he called into the radio show. The whole sequence at Gonzo the Clown Show was perfect.
It's so funny. It's just he gets hired immediately. I don't even know what he thinks. A lot happens just in that one panel before the page that's all of the show.
Yeah.
There's like he gets hired, he gets put on the air, and he's ready to go. One
of my favorite panels in this whole thing is when he gets yanked by the hook, some visual medium. They don't even look at you when they talk to you. But what the heck? If they were expecting me, may as well. And like his his eyes are all like super dazed, and it's
Yeah, it looks like his tongue's almost sticking out.
also I think the what was the guy that puts him in the chair, guy at the TV. I feel like he was meant to look like somebody.
Yeah, he does, like his beard and kind of balding hairstyle. He does look like somebody, and I can't place it. Just stand here, Gonzo the Clown, Kitty Cartoon Corner. Who? All these captions are so great. Again, it's what Steve Gerber being very serious with this prose, with this ridiculous stuff.
Yeah,
it's so great.
It
turns into a melee so fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
How it's just like, as soon as he gets hit with the pie, he's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's on.
And then, it takes the serious turn with the lady not being able to pay for TV, and Gerber obviously commenting on capitalism and how it's sucking people dry to try to give them a little bit of entertainment in their life.
Yeah. And I was shocked by the price of the television.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like not far off from
No.
what you pay for a really nice TV today, I guess. So that's kind of funny to me. Like $900 at the end of the day for something that should have been $400. Like,
yeah.
Yep. Credit's always been a scam.
Yeah. And then, of course, the return of the kidney lady.
As ugly as ever. Gene Colan draws her even better, I feel like, than was before.
And I like how this time she's like, you're the head of the massive international kidney poisoning conspiracy.
Yeah, because a talking duck would be, I guess. And then the next scene when they get off the bus and they're just like, forget this lady. Let's get out of here. I don't want to start another fight with her on the bus again.
Yeah.
And those guys harassing Beverly, they're just like, well, who just wiggled in?
She doesn't take it either.
No, she's like, I will kick your asses, dude. I'm already hyped up on this wrestling stuff. I'm in the mood.
And then, of course, the big wrestling scene, which is hilarious to me that it was the cover and it's literally like the last 3 pages. That's all it is. Yeah.
I mean, at least it happened.
Yeah.
There are some, there's some comics where you see whatever happened on the cover didn't really happen. It's just maybe what could have happened.
Right. And
Howard has a mask on, which I think is funny. Once again, another Steve Gerber comic where someone's wearing a mask.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's very intro to, it's like Spider-Man's backstory almost.
Yeah.
But it is some great Gene Colan art of like the wrestler. This whole scene looks great, and how Howard whoops him is awesome.
And this is exactly how wrestlers looked in the 70s, too. They were always big dudes that were slightly out of shape, and they were hairy. That's wrestling in the 70s for you.
Yeah, I just think of, what's his name? The Claw Iron?
That guy's name? Baron von Raschke.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I think he's from here.
Yeah, he's
from
is.
Minnesota.
Because the AWA was had its base in Minnesota.
That's about the extent of my wrestling knowledge.
Yep. But yeah.
And we had a governor that was a wrestler too. That's my other fact. The wrestling fact is
Predator star Jesse Ventura. Yeah, I love the wrestling scene. He whoops that guy's ass, the goat, and I love it. I knew there would be some kind of like shit ending where Howard wouldn't get the money, and he's like, "Let me at him, Howard."
Yeah, he's so pissed off. Yeah. It's just a little battle. Maybe we can work something out.
Well, so what do you think?
I love this.
Yeah, okay.
It's a funny story. I feel like Gene Colan just keeps getting better with every little issue. Just like Howard looks such a great mix of like adorable and cranky.
Yep.
I think it's what ducks really are. They're really adorable and also really cranky. I love ducks. We go to parks all the time. I like to go to ones with lakes and ponds during the summer because ducks will just hang out in masses around here, and like, oh, look how cute and they are, and then they like look at you and go, quack, 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 and they go pissy. Like, all right, man, whatever. But I think that's why Howard's a perfect character to bringing those two sides of Steve Gerber. This art I can't get over how great it is. There's some panels of kind of Howard's back end. It's always so cute when you see his little duck butt. There's one where the goat's just leaping out at Howard. Howard's below him, and there's got Gene Colan's got the Kirby hands kind of going for the wrestler, coming out at you in 3D, and it's just from Howard's behind with this little tail sticking out of his shorts. It's so good. Howard just moves aside with some quack move. The duck sidesteps and crash, and his head goes through the boards. Yeah, I think it's a fun story. It's kind of a classic Howard the Duck story. I've got my floppy here reading it through. There's a lot of ads, which I always love.
And as we determined, I have my trade paperback that we are now calling thickies instead of floppies.
I got my floppies. You got your thickies. But yeah, it's just a perfect Howard the Duck comic book in that matter. It's not, to me, it's not the funniest.
No.
It's pretty damn funny, but it's it's more on this kind of on the satirical side than it is on the comedy or parody side. But the return of the Kidney Lady makes it worth the 30-cent cover price.
Of the main, Howard series, not counting the Man-Thing stuff, this is my favorite thing we've read so far.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
The only thing that still tops it is the Hell Cow. I don't think anything will top that, but...
We'll see when we get there. There might be something that gets it for you. I love the Hell Cow story. There's some other Howard stories that I like even more. But let's play some feedback from Justin. Let's see what he has. A lot to say about this one, but of course, even more to say about the next issue.
Hello there, my friends. It's Justin the Owl Osgood from the Tomes of Evil comic book supervillain podcast, here to give you my thoughts about issues number 5 and 6 of Howard the Duck. And of course, we'll start out with issue number 5. I'll give you my thoughts on issue number 5. I want money. This one was really good. I liked this one a lot. It was very entertaining, and especially from the first page we had, Eureka, I found my stash! Oh, Bev, that's a very meager stash. A single quarter. Oy, bad. Poor Bev. You can do better than that, my dear. We've got to talk about your stash, Bev. You can do better than this. We get on the second page, of course, as I commented before, no Howard the Duck comic book, at least in my opinion, is complete without one panel of Howard glaring at the reader viciously, and we have that in this second page. It's so great. Gene Colan, I think, is my favorite Howard the Duck artist. I don't know if I mentioned that last time, but it's definitely true. And I also got a kick out of him reading the Quacky Duck comic book and destroying it in a rage. Wah! All biased stereotyping trash. Oh, it's fantastic. And then another panel when he's on the phone glaring at the reader. I just love that expression. For me, that's the quintessential Howard the Duck face. The cantankerous, pissed off duck look. Yow! Oh, man. For me, the highlight was definitely when Howard the Duck went on the Gonzo the Clown show and promptly gets a pie in the face and then dishes out a punch to the face for Gonzo. Not half as funny as you're gonna be without teeth, you turkey. And there's a little girl, too, in the audience who's actually kind of my spirit animal in this issue. She says, yay, and away, dopey, beat the living spit out of that mealy-mouthed clown. I think if I was in a kids show audience, I would have been saying the same thing at that point in time. That for me was the highlight of the issue. The little wrestling match at the end with with the big beast, the man mountain there. It was good, but I don't know. It was a kind of a weird way for them to get some money. a weird way for Howard and Bev to materialize some cash. But that also had a great line right before they're about to go into the wrestling ring. The guy grabs Bev's arm and he's like, well, look who just wiggled in. You like wrestling, do you, sweetie? Uh-huh, and I'm good at it, see? So bug off before I break your arm. I love it. So good. Oh, yes, and of course we have the kidney lady. I love that. That's my second favorite part of this issue, of course, is the return of the kidney lady. So good. Yeah. That's your way, isn't it? Your subtle scheme to systematically subvert our system of values. I think the kidney lady was maybe the prototypical Karen in 1976. What do you guys think? But yeah, the wrestling thing was a weird way to wrap this up, but it was cute. It was fun. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. And I loved it at the end, how he tried to weasel him out of the money because he wasn't an actual man. It was really good. I would give, of this one quacks, out of 3 out of 5 quacks, I think I would give this one. Yeah, it was very entertaining. Definitely. And of course, what can you say about the artwork? It's just perfect. Perfect Howard the Duck artwork. So yeah, that was my thoughts on number 5. 3 out of 5 quacks. Very good.
3 out of 5 quacks, he gives it.
3 out of 5 quacks.
It's nice that at least somebody gives these ratings, because we wouldn't do that, because we've said before, these are perfect comic books, and why wait perfection? What do you think of his feedback? He seems to be on the same page, except for he doesn't like the wrestling stuff as much as he did.
Which I thought this was way better than the wrestling that Justin and I covered in that Batman comic from the 40s. But, he pretty much agreed with us, pretty much other than the wrestling bit. Yeah.
Yeah. The kidney lady being one big highlight of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it is. And then, of course, Gene Colan, he is the perfect Howard the Duck artist, I think. Just like I was saying, his contrast between his being, working on some of the horror stuff that he did and just kind of the seriousness of his illustrations. He's just really good at contrasting the ridiculousness of a talking duck with this very serious world of Cleveland. There's just like a great panel during the wrestling match, like a little a corner panel of Beverly holding her hands to her face, like in surprise. And it looks straight out of something from like an EC horror comic, And then the next thing it's just the goat, like taking down, it looks like he's taking down a bunch of wrestlers, but I think it's just that thing to kind of remember the old Spider-Man way they would show him 25 times in a panel to show his movement or whatever like that. Well, with that great insight, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with issue number 6.
This is Justin the Owl Osgood from the Lost Library of Legends comic book podcast, and you're listening to Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast. It's quacktastic.
Welcome back, everybody, to Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast. And now we're going to talk about issue number 6 from Volume 1, The Secret House of Forbidden Cookies. A release date, August 24, 1976. Cover date, November 1976. And then the covers were ripped off and pulped or sold for $0.25. Cover art was by Gene Colan, Tom Palmer, and John Costanza. So he must have done the lettering on the cover, and he also did the lettering inside the book. The writer was Steve Gerber with Mary Skrenas, who we haven't really talked much about Mary Skrenas yet. She was actually like a frequent collaborator with Steve Gerber, and she goes in the comic itself. I believe she doesn't go credited, but on the Marvel Wiki, they credit her every once in a while. So I don't know where they got that info that she helped more than what she's credited for, but she helped Gerber come up with write a lot of the Omega, the Unknown comics that he did a little later. She helped him a lot with like Defenders. She did some stuff with Guardians of the Galaxy, apparently. So that's pretty cool. And then she went on, she did a lot of comic book work, but then she also wrote like episodes of Gem in the 80s.
Oh boy.
G.I. Joe and Transformers, which I think Gerber also worked on. Maybe both of those?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, I'm not 100% sure. I will probably come back to that in a later episode, and I'll nail those facts down. But it would make sense that they both did that together. But I found a great quote that Gerber said about her once. He said, "She's such a private person that when she gets back to town, she'll probably castigate me for having revealed that she's such a private person."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I guess she's still around too. So I know she's a very private person. So she might not want to come on a podcast talking about Howard the Duck, but she's done interviews about Gerber before. So maybe, Mary, we'd love to have you on the show. Anyway, where was I? Penciler was Gene Colan. Inker was Steve Loyola. Colorist Glynis Wein again. Like I said, the letterer was John Costanza. Editor Archie Godin. Editor-in-chief, some old guy with a mustache.
Excelsior. No. Enough said. No prize. All right. As they're hitchhiking to New York is meeting troubles. First, Howard gets them kicked out of a car for refusing to put out his cigar, and later almost being struck by a driver who thought Beverly was in trouble, but figuring Howard was a demon. The two travelers get into an argument and part company. While Howard finds a place to sleep outside, Beverly comes across a crumbling Victorian manor and is invited in by the seemingly creepy young Patsy Dragonsworth, who thinks Bev is the new governess. Bev agrees just to get out of the storm. The next morning, Howard is discovered by a couple of kids who are terrified of a clothed, talking duck and run off. Howard follows them thinking he can't afford to scare off a ride. He discovers the kids with the Reverend June Moon Yuck and his followers, the Yuckies, a religious group who believe Howard to be a demon. When Howard tries to get a ride with them, which they refuse to give anyway, they are interrupted by the arrival of man on horseback in strange garb who introduces himself as a real estate agent or lifestyle consultant, Heathcliff Rochester, who specializes in Victorian mansions. Rochester mistakes Howard for Reverend Yuck, believing the Reverend's name to be Reverend Duck, who takes Howard off to see a mansion that is for sale at a discounted price, a house which Reverend Yuck and his followers hoped to purchase. At said mansion, Beverly prepares breakfast for Patsy and her insane mother on the dinner table too long to hear each other speak. Patsy remarks, "Bev isn't a very good nanny." Breakfast is interrupted when a bunch of townspeople, who believe Patsy to be a witch, show up to tear the house down like a scene out of Frankenstein, but with a few contemporary touches, like wrecking balls and flamethrowers. Heathcliff arrives with Howard and a band of dogs, who attack Howard first to drive the locals off. After a brief hesitation, if the two should be talking, Howard and Beverly make up. Invited in, Howard and Beverly learn from Rochester that the townspeople believe that Patsy is a witch and that she is creating monsters, and that's why Patsy's mother is trying to sell the house and buy a new mansion in Wisconsin. Patsy insists that she creates no monsters and only wishes to bake cookies. When Reverend Yuck arrives, also believing that Patsy is making monsters, Patsy takes them all to the cellar to show them that she's been working on. The setup is reminiscent of a scene out of, you guessed it, Frankenstein. However, Patsy insists that she is baking cookies in spite of the fact that there is a humanoid shape under a blanket in the middle of the room. Activating the device under protest with some D batteries, Patsy reveals her creation, a gigantic gingerbread man. As everyone tries to clear the room, the giant cookie being begins to spring to life with a small movement of its fingers. It's alive! It's alive!
It's done! 350 degrees for 2 hours.
Next time, the way the cookie crumbles.
Yes, indeedy. So that's issue number 6. Let's play Justin's feedback we got for this before you and I talk about it, because I think he has some insights, and we're going to end up being redundant, I think, after we hear what he has to say.
Okay.
So here's Justin with his feedback on issue number 6.
Moving on to issue number 6. This one, I was laughing so hard at this one, really from beginning to end. Bev and Howard getting into this screaming match in the middle of this pouring rainstorm. All because Howard wanted to smoke in somebody's cab. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Bev's having a nervous breakdown. Nobody will ever come along. Nobody will ever help use this road again. And then we get treated to another fantastic Gene Colan haunted house. Oh, man. You know something? I could probably look at a book of just Gene Colan haunted house mansions for pages and pages, 100 pages worth of just that. He's the quintessential haunted house ghostly mansion artist. Love Gene Colan's haunted house. So Bev finds her way to this creepy place with this creepy girl. You must be our new governess. Yeah. Sure. Then Howard has a run-in with some religious wackos. Reverend Yuck. This also had me laughing. June Moon Yuck. I was laughing so hard about that. And Howard's great line of, and those are the woods I slept in last night. Figure you could spare a lift? This crazy dude crashing through on a horse and saying he's got an offer for Howard. Howard's the new owner of this estate. No, it's not him, it's me. It's not Duck, it's Yuck. This next scene with Bev and the girl, the creepy girl, cracked me up so much because they're sitting at opposite ends of this massive dining room table. Thank you for waking up to make me breakfast, Bev. Bev? Is something wrong? Don't you like it here, Bev? Bev? You'll have to speak up. Patsy, I can barely hear you down here. How are your cornflakes, dear? Soggy. I don't think you're going to cut it as a governess, Bev. Oh, man, that was good. That was a good line. And then we have the introduction of the crazy woman. This crazy woman makes me think of the crazy mother from Mario Bava movie. It's one of my favorite Mario Bava movies from 1966. It's called Kill Baby Kill, and it's fantastic. But she looks exactly like the crazy mother from that movie, and I wonder if Gene Colan was a Mario Bava fan. Or maybe Steve Gerber were. Or maybe they both were. But anyway. The dogs get set upon the crazy mob that's coming up to the mansion to wreak havoc. And here comes another one of my favorite lines from the issue. Somebody tell Arnie to get his butt up here with that flamethrower. He won't burn dogs, only people. He likes dogs. Oh, God. Oh, so good. So good. I love it. Howard sees Bev in the window and freaks out, falls off the horse, Wah! And is trampled by the dogs. It's really not Howard's day. He's not having a good day in this issue. Oh, man. So, Howard gets introduced to the crazy mother, who makes a wonderful first impression on him. Keep your distance, lady, okay? You bother me. Oh, Patsy's telling her story, and in comes Reverend Yuck, which gives everyone the perfect opportunity to be introduced to Patsy's little experiment in the basement, which is set up with the power of 2, not 1, but 2 D batteries. Oh, I love it. I love this whole lash up in the basement with the giant gingerbread man underneath the curtain. It's so good. Yeah, this was fantastic, this issue. Like I said, I was laughing really from the beginning to the end of this. And the art, of course, was perfect. Nothing to complain about there at all. So, and a rating I would give this one 4.5 out of 5 quacks. Only because it wasn't quite perfect, but it was close. I love this one, and I'm looking forward to the next one so much. Yeah, the highlight for me was definitely the scene with Bev and Patsy in the oh, God, so good. But anyway, can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts about these 2 issues 5 and 6. Anyway, guys, we'll talk to you soon, and keep a listen for lots of goings on, actually, in February for the Tomes of Evil comic book supervillain podcast. We've got a lot going on in February, so stay tuned. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
So, yeah, he covered a lot of the same things that just got to me the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I want to first off say this. So far, this is my favorite Howard the Duck Volume 1 issue.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so far it's because it has some of the best tropes that Steve Gerber could sort of, it's the Frankenstein kind of story. It's sort of like the horror. It seems like a 70s sort of horror story.
Right.
But then he's dropped in things like making fun of Sung Young Moon, which was a big 70s that, everybody, Sung Young Moon's Christian cult and all that stuff. But just the very first page, the prose on it about this guy who almost hits them.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious to me. Like the Sterling, those twin moons on the chorus is Joe Montebatten, regional sales manager for Rubber Corp International. We got a whole background on this guy for 1 page before he almost hits them. And then just the misery of Howard and Beverly out in the storm, and when they're getting in their fight, and she's talking about how no one will ever pick them up because Howard's too big of an asshole. And she kicks him in his little butt.
Wow.
And she's like, when she's talking about why no one would pick him up, she's like, I mean, it's understandable in the Andes, Howard, but this is the Poconos. No way, not in the Poconos. So funny.
I too love that opening bit of prose, but I love his dialogue even more. Oh my God. It's hideous, inhuman. Not a man at all. It's some monstrous kind of... And then Howard, this was such a great joke to me. He tells Beverly to duck.
Yeah, he's coming right at us. It's great because it's on the first page, and then when you flip to the second page, duck!
Yeah.
It's very classic. It's a good way of using comics in that way.
Yeah.
The passing of time, but it's also like a classic comedy sort of thing, having somebody say the line that you were meaning to. But I love how Beverly just like takes off and goes on the walk. It's just those, the castle or manor or whatever that that Gene Colan is drawing is so great. That whole page of her walking up to the mansion and all of the great captions that go with it, it just seems straight out of the narration, out of like a classic horror film. And she's like, hello there, is anybody home? Who's there? Hello, I'm Beverly. Oh, you must be the new governess. Mm-hmm. It's so creepy. But I was just like, yeah, sure. Okay. Just get me.
Yeah. This, Justin kind of thought the same thing I did. This whole issue feels like a 60s Italian horror film.
Yep, exactly.
Until the end when it's straight up universal horror. But I like this issue a lot. It's just these weird kooky characters, Reverend Yuck, the mother.
Oh my God. Yeah, Patsy's mother.
Yeah.
That first scene when she's meeting Howard and she's like stretching out her face with her finger.
Yeah.
It's talking about, right, Bud, come in, chew the fat, chop the cornflakes.
I too also love the joke about them not being able to hear each other across the room.
Oh, but that killed me.
Bev! They kind of did that joke in Batman 89 when Vicky and
they did
Bruce
do that
are
joke.
having... Yeah. I did like the tender moment between Howard and Bev, like their reconciliation.
Yeah, the real quick reconciliation.
Yeah. And I just had to, like, it's so hilarious to me that, like, Howard is like, he's basically like, she's ugly, but I love her.
I know, and Gene Colan draws her beautiful.
yeah.
Like, she just looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's ugly, but I love her. Yeah, I love Steve Gerber's like economy of storytelling for comics. Like they need to make up really quick, but like as you read it, there's a lot of words, but it works. It's not too wordy. And it's just like in their thought bubble, you know. How could this be wrong or insane when it feels so good?
Yeah.
It's just great. Like, okay, anyway, they're back together, moving on. You know, the economy of storytelling is a skill you have to have for comics, especially this era, sort of the pre-deconstruction and decompression of comics. You've got to move on, and Steve Gerber's fucking great at it.
Yeah. And I have to say that, like, I was not prepared for the Cookie Monster. I was like, okay, so they've got some kind of Frankenstein thing, but she keeps saying that she's making cookies. I didn't put two and two together that it was going to be a fucking Frankenstein cookie. And, it looks so fucking funny. It's just like right out of a Saturday morning cartoon type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big, stupid nose.
Yeah. Reminds me sort of kind of the idea of sort of a Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Yeah.
You know, something really cute that could be this terror. And the D battery, 2 D batteries. But all the artwork up into there, like the creepy basement, it looks so good. The whole thing is, very much like an Italian horror movie until that very moment where you see right to the moment where she takes the cover off of the cookie, off the gingerbread man. It's just like,
I wonder how hard it was for Gene Colan to draw something like that. Like, because he's so used to drawing like these really detailed, creepy monsters, and Gerber's like, "Could you draw this big stupid cookie?" Sure.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the character of the real estate agent.
Yeah. He makes no sense.
What the fuck? He's a complete non sequitur. When he first leaps, I mean, the whole Reverend Yuck thing is funny, just with yuck and duck rhyming, but that still makes no sense either. I mean, I guess it does because he tied it in, like they wanted to buy the manor or whatever, and also chase this witch out of town. But when the man on horseback comes in, and Seven Gables Realty Corporation, all night key grinding services. This is on his business card. Specializing in decaying Victorian mansions of pernicious repute, Heathcliff, Rochester. I favor the term lifestyle consultant. He looks like out of an old Dracula movie, the way he's dressed, and he's on horseback.
Yeah.
But the way he grabs Howard and just like first he pats him on the head.
Yeah.
And then just grabs him, and then they're off on the horse. When he shows up again, it's like they've been galloping the whole time, and he just drops Howard, thump, and he's back in the game. It's really good.
It is really good. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I didn't like it as well as the last one, but there was a few parts that got me, and I think I like it even more after hearing you guys talk about it. Like, especially Justin laughing his ass off. He's so infectious with that, but.
Yeah. That's why I played. Like, he really got a kick out of the same things that I laughed so hard at. Why I wanted to mention the very first page, though, because that one really got me with just how great the prose is. And then it just like into the action. Mm-hmm. But like squish face. I can see why she's so pissed off at Howard. And yeah, that gag on the table is so funny to me. I feel like that's been done someplace else too. It almost seems like a Mel Brooks kind of gag. You know what I mean? Like it's Dracula dead and loving it or whatever.
Young Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah, it's very kind of a young Frankenstein kind of thing. It's so funny. But I guess I don't know. You got anything else to say about it?
I'm really happy that I wasn't the only one that thought immediately Italian horror film, because it's kind of got that same setup that almost every Italian horror film has. It's like, oh, we got to find this creepy house, and these people are weird, and there's these weird townsfolk and stuff. And
yeah, the townsfolk are really funny too.
Yeah.
I really like how they bring a crane with a wrecking ball and flamethrowers. And I actually missed that part about what Justin said about the guys like about to burn the dogs. And he's like, he likes dogs. He's got a good voice for the background characters in his comics. You know, I don't have much else to say about it either, except for we do continue the story in our next episode, in the next issue, and we also get into the Manchurian Duck Part 1.
Yeah.
So I think next episode, we're going to cover issue 7. I think we're going to do 7 and 8, even though there is, chronologically speaking, there's a comic between the two. But I think we'll save that for the episode after that, which would be the Marvel Treasury Edition, featuring Howard the Duck and the Defenders. And we're going to have a special guest, Charlie Esser from the Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekick podcast and Super Connectivity. Charlie, the Professor Esser, will come and talk, and won't be able to get a word in edgewise probably. But very much looking forward to having Charlie on, and some other guests in the near future. We're going to have it. Hopefully, we'll be having some other great podcasters on with us, and some Howard adjacent comic book guests in the more far off future. But for the meantime, you're basically just stuck with us two fucking nerds.
You hear that, Zdarsky? We're
coming for you.
Yeah.
We want you, but not for like 3 years.
Yeah.
By the time you're getting too near the peak of your greatness right now, we're going to catch you on the hill, slide down.
You'll be on volume 4 of Daredevil by then.
And people, get this asshole off this book. Well, I guess that's it for this week, guys. Thanks, Russell, for coming on this journey with me again.
Always a pleasure. I love quacking my way downtown.
Oh, buddy. All right, everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks on the next episode of Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast.
Quack.
Good night and good quack. Please join us on Patreon patreon.com/trappedinaworld. We'd love to hear your feedback about future issues of Howard the Duck. Send us a voicemail or write us an email at howardpodcast@gmail.com. Our Twitter is Howard Duck Pod. Our Instagram is Howard Duck Pod. Join us on Facebook at Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck Podcast. And our website is trappedinaworld.libsyn.com.
Russell, you can't hear me. This is Duckringgovern. And we're going to talk about all the dorky toys that I can see in your office right now. Like a kingpin, and a moon knight, and some masters of the universe. You need to grow up